So that when people see this, oh, one moment. When people see this,
Yeah.
right on, we're live with Capital Races Club. Welcome to Capital Races Club. I'm your host today, Samson Homeres. And if you want to join up on the stage, feel free to put the chat here, and we can send you DM, whichever platform you're on. We're right now streaming live on LinkedIn. We're streaming live on YouTube. We're also streaming live on Twitter. So feel free to put in the message section. I'd like to join up here behind the scenes. I'd like to join here. It's basically like a Zoom where we send you a link, you enter, you fill in your name, first name, last name, and we have a discussion. Today's discussion is real estate talk, and I'd like to share with y'all before we have somebody else here in the comments. Oh, by the way, another thing, I would like to share with you all that we have now launched our community platform. So everybody who's in the Capital Races Club newsletter, which you can find on capitalracersclub.com, have gotten there. We sent out the invitation email this morning where you can join the community chat. You can access it from your app, from your phone, from your computer, from your pads, and it's working. So we're learning by doing here a lot, and we have Cecilia Homeres in the chat, very active. So excited for the new community. She also signed up just now. Oh, I see. We have somebody behind the scenes that I invited up here for real estate talk. I'm gonna put in the private chat. I'll put it up here real soon. You're gonna get to learn from another investor, and you can send Zoom to James Ehrlich. Could you send to James Ehrlich, please? We have Cecilia here in the back, behind the scenes, working in Capital Races Club with our branding, and I'm sending over the link to you. James, that's not the link, babe. 1 second, please. We're sending over the link to you, James, right now, and you can join us. Awesome. So without further ado, let's introduce Chris DeSell. He's here in this live stream today. Chris, welcome to Capital Races Club. Long time no see, brother.
Hello, everybody. I'm trying to figure out my camera here. Give me my first time here. So it should be going here. Anyway, how's it going? Sorry about that. I'll figure it out.
No worries. It's going well on our end. We're here in Mexico, enjoying. It's very sunny today. It's nice.
Yeah, that's awesome.
How's it in California?
Oh, it's beautiful. It's always 72 and sunny.
Awesome. Yeah, we have family and friends that are in snowy places. Every time I say, "Hey, now it's time to go snowboard," I don't know. I get the finger, or I get they don't really like my positive attitude. It's not appreciated, but I really like when it's snowy too. Yeah. Anyways,
excellent.
Just we sent James. You have the link in your email. Feel free to join us here on Capital Races Club. If there's anybody else who's watching this live right now who would like to join us, talk about real estate. It's just introduce yourself a little bit. We did this all the time on Clubhouse. We've done this also earlier in the year here on LinkedIn Live, YouTube Live, and Twitter Live. So, yeah, Chris, would you like to introduce yourself to everybody who's watching right now? Or
Sure
watching
thing.
the replay?
Hi, everybody. I'm Chris DeSell, Cloud Capital here, and we invest. We do the value add strategy where we invest in distressed properties, apartment complexes, and make them into really nice homes.
Awesome having you here, and you're a source of great inspiration when it comes to not just syndications, but also how to get started and everything. I've learned so much from you, Chris, and I'm so grateful to have you here with us, and that our audience also gets to learn from you. So if you have questions in the audience, feel free to put them in the chat. We can bring them up here during this live. And with that said, James Ehrlich, welcome. How are you doing?
Doing just great. Thanks for having me here. Pleasure.
Yeah, pleasure having you here. Feel free to introduce yourself, what you're up to, where you're at, and we can maybe take some questions from the audience later on. Just have a real estate talk.
Sure. So I'm based here at Stanford University, and I am founder of Regen Villages, which is a Stanford University spinoff company realizing software-enabled, self-reliant neighborhoods, bioregenerative. So it's a combination of clean water, renewable energy, high-yield organic food production, and waste-to-resource management, all for basically neighborhood amenities. So the concept really is resiliency in the built environment, and it's a huge topic now, of course, because of COVID and interruption to supply chains. So we're seeing huge demand around the world. We founded a Dutch holding company in 2016, and so even though we're EU-based holding company, we've got subsidiaries here in the US and Canada, office in London and in Sweden. So we're going after the sovereign wealth pension fund institutional market with quite a force now in terms of replacing subdivisions near urban environments with this mixed use, new built passive home with productive farmland. That's Regen Villages.
That's
awesome. I have so many questions.
Are you doing actual farmland, or are you doing what's the farming called where they stack it up and have fish and do the whole?
It's a combination. So it's both soil-based farming, organic, biodynamic, permaculture, which is biodiverse at the neighborhood scale. But then we marry that with controlled environment farming, aquaponic and aeroponic systems. Yeah. So it's really full circularity because food and animal waste then becomes food for chickens and fish. We believe we're capable of supplying probably 65 to 70% of communities' daily nutritional needs from within their own footprint of roughly about 60 acres. So about 400 families on 60 acres, and we can pretty much feed them and hydrate them and generate sufficient power.
Families is the model for?
How many people?
1,200?
Somewhere between 1,500 to 2,000 people.
It's the village, like the village design, so everyone's walkable and everything like that.
Exactly. So it's essentially car-free, a car parked to the periphery, shared EV mobility, and then the community itself is just really walkable, bikeable, and productive, edible is really our goal. So the key thing really is that there are moneyed interests right now around the world with land banks that are tied up because of agricultural zoning. And our model enables the fast track conversion of that to mixed use residential, light commercial, and because we don't compromise the productive value of the farming.
Have you built one yet?
We are in the process of building our first pilot communities. So we have 3 different locations under appraisal. One is near to Oslo in Norway. The other is 30 minutes from Amsterdam in the Netherlands. And the third one is in Portugal.
Are you planning on bringing them to the United States?
Yeah, we have some development appraisals going on right now here in California, on the East Coast with one of our partners, and then in the Big Island of Hawaii.
How's the permit process been in the States?
It's tough, but it's tough every place, and that's part of the reason why we started in Europe, because Europe is much more ambitious about green transition and the ability to recognize the necessity for regional and local resiliency measures. So they're much more willing to look at land through this lens, and that allows us to move the planning conditions forward faster. So once we have that, we can bring that to the US, to Canada, and then the objective really is the global South. You know, there's a huge housing crisis globally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In your California, have you actually met any of the boards? Have you started the permit process yet?
We have right now. There's a coastal planning commission. That's that's kind of where we're at right now. Is essentially making the presentations to the coastal planning. Again, they have an urgent housing crisis and a need for social affordable units, but there's also sensitivity along the California coast for how and what you can develop. So
which round is this? The first round or second round of presentations?
This is the second round presentation.
Second round. So did they require modifications?
No, it was actually just to make sure that the rest of the group could be present due to COVID.
Okay.
So
no modifications, and you got through the second round, so that's good.
Well, we have something that's that presents itself as an opportunity for climate-related investment, and also for a community development that is not just building these gated communities for wealthy Silicon Valley folks, but that it's a more of a campus-like environment that's capable of creating access for these other kinds of communities who need it the most.
What part of California are you guys planning on?
Right now, we're looking at Northern Cal to start with.
And you want to start on the coast? You don't want to go inland a little bit?
It's just where the land presented itself.
Okay.
So that's we talk to landowners all the time.
Right.
The landowners, to local governments, to communities. There's a rich history in eco-villages, but the issue is that they've taken quite a long time to realize. And we bring a more industrialized approach to enable these neighborhoods to get built at scale rapidly, using prefab construction, 3D extrusion. And then we're also a software company. We have something called the Village OS. And the Village OS is essentially does two things. One, can use generative design like a Sim City to virtually design a modern eco-village on a piece of land. And the second part of the software becomes operational. Once the neighborhood is built, it can actually run the regenerative infrastructure. So we're very much kind of a in-between tech and real estate development play in who we are.
You mentioned a 3D building. Have you used any of the 3D building processes yet? Because
yeah, I mean we're very much engaged in this part of the industry, which is related to probably maybe some software that you've seen from Alphabet, Sidewalk Labs, Delve, Autodesk.
The actual building process. The only reason why I'm asking was because it sounds like your complex really wants to be have a big buildings, right? And only the only 3D that I've actually seen in operational have only been able to do single family homes. So the reason why there's a follow up here. So we'd love to use that 3D technology in a bigger footprint so we can make our apartments and add on to the properties that we own. It's just not there yet. So I'm not trying to poo-poo anything. I'm trying to get if that technology is out there, they're just not getting there because we talked to two 3D builders and they're just not there yet. So
yeah, really what it comes down to is the marriage between the prefab constructors who have an assembly line already.
That's different.
Right.
Prefab and 3D is totally separate.
Well, yes and no, because they're operating with data on an assembly line, and our software.
The 3Ds that are built right now, they actually I've seen them. They're in Texas. They build 3D houses on site, not prefab.
Oh, you mean the printed homes?
3D printed home, yeah.
3D printed. Oh yeah. You're talking about extruded 3D. Yeah, you're right. That currently those typologies are single family. They have not created apartment scale. I think that will come more in the form of probably volumetric and component.
I was hoping you said you already had it so we could start using it. That's why that was the whole.
No, just so you understand, we're not the constructor. We are software and developer. So we are in between those two worlds, and that allows us to be quite agnostic, actually, for any of those new technologies like icon printers and et cetera to work within our framework.
So what's the game plan for you to be sustainability? So if you're just selling the software, are you going to own and operate? Or are you going to just sell the software, build a community, and move to the next community?
Part of what we do is we have, of course, being a software company, but on the real estate development side, we have a team that's focusing on land opportunities, developing those land opportunities, running them through appraisals, getting the financial feasibility.
I'm talking long term, right? So
long term for us would be joint venture in our real estate development side business, and in country region joint venture with the best viable partners. And then really from our perspective, it's having a fund that sits next to us, which we have a few of those funds now interested in doing this, which would essentially allow us to then funnel both private equity, mezzanine, and junior senior level debt facility to those groups building these kinds of communities in the right way.
But we have a different way. Are you going to own and operate after the structure is built? Or are you moving on to the next one? Are you going to
No, it's important for us to own and operate because the data is very important for us. It's the data, it's the flourishing data that we're then able to share across climate zones and then improve the model for other community developments around the world.
Sweet. So you'll take that data and then try to improve for the next project.
Exactly. And not only the next project, but imagine waking up in the morning and your neighborhood has had a software upgrade because it's learned from other neighborhoods in similar climate zones how to improve or mitigate against risk. That's the reason why we've absconded the Tesla of eco-villages as our moniker, because we're kind of like driving a Tesla in that sense.
Hey, James,
can I ask one question? Then what about security on the platform?
Security?
Yeah.
In terms of hacking and things like this?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So first of all, we're focused on the local infrastructure, the server infrastructure. It would be highly encrypted, and it would be quite secure. In other words, it's not really connecting to the cloud other than what we're sending up to the cloud. So it's not going to be a whole bunch of these sort of open-ended web services that can be vulnerable. In other words,
are you going to use your own servers then?
We're going to have our own local servers. Exactly.
No EWS or anything like that?
Not for operating a village. Absolutely not.
Good. No, that because it's just huge out there.
Yeah. So thanks for the great questions, and thanks for letting me, Samson, make a brief presentation. I can put more, in people interested, how to reach us through our website, and I'll put that into the chat.
Please put that in the chat, because I can copy that. And also, I would like to ask, we have a fund manager coming up this Thursday. I would love it if you can ask these kind of, I don't know, but it would be interesting for what you're doing. I mean, you're disrupting something. You're disrupting 3 different industries at the same time, basically. Anyway, I just wanted to mention that we have fund manager Parker Smith joining us on Thursday at 1 p.m. For you guys, it's going to be 11 a.m. Pacific time. And asking questions like, hey, how do you fund? How do you bet? Because they manage a Caltier fund, which is a commercial real estate fund for assets. I mean, for operators that are, but it's more for passive investors. They put in money, and they have active investors that are placing that money to work. So
that's great. Yeah, we know we're onto something. We've been at this now for nearly a decade in terms of our research at Stanford, and then the spinoff company happened in 2016, and we've made a lot of progress. We've become kind of the Rolling Stones in the news and the press about being the modern eco-village movement. And we've had right now over 40,000 families have pre-registered to buy or rent homes through our website. So we know there's demand globally for people who, especially now because of COVID, people have been leaving cities for the suburbs and the countryside. So we provide a turnkey kind of solution for that. So I guess I'll leave the studio, and anybody wants to reach out.
Please stay here because I have like 10 more questions. This is
Sure.
this is
Okay,
super
happy to
interesting.
do it until my next call. Sure.
I don't know if you have to go. If you have to, no worries.
I can hang out for probably another 15, 20 minutes maybe. Yeah.
Sure. So another question was, I'm sure you've maybe connected with some of the villages that are built by crypto enthusiasts that have basically tokenized the whole seed. Instead of having seed phrases, they have that the people who are contributing, they own part of it. They have their tokens. Have you connected with these kind of investors and these kind of operators for what you're doing? Because it sounds to me that you're both, or
look, I come from a video game design background. I started in software and technology, and I'm still a technologist. That's me at heart. Okay. I'm not a huge fan of crypto because it's not a replacement from an energy generation and demand capacity. It's actually not friendly to the environment. No one has proved to me yet that generating consensus or being able to ledger something through that mechanism is a really good exchange swap for what we've got right now with current fiat. That being said, we're interested in the space in terms of where it could go, especially with renewable energy and other kinds of ledgering systems. But I'm really not a crypto bro in that way. We have not been looking at that per se. We're really focused on real assets, on real housing development, and on solving problems and real pain points for landowners, developers, government, and communities. And that's something that this kind of synthetic currency, it doesn't really address from our perspective at this moment.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not going into that direction with this conversation. But some other day I would like to definitely discuss that, because we were in El Salvador during the whole Bitcoin launch. We've seen what they do over there from a different perspective, without the propaganda and everything that most people saw from outside. So, but some other day I would love to discuss that, because it's, for me at least, it feels like a step in the right direction.
It's really volatile. That the problem is the volatility. It makes it just challenging also for us, and the last few weeks you can see that it is it's not more stable than the stock market or other kinds of markets. So I'm not dogmatic. I'm open-minded. Just looking for the right solution that is not hurting Mother Earth more than what we already have.
Sure. So we have. Sorry, go ahead.
What would be the cost to build your community? Have you?
Yeah, we've run the numbers. Estimated in continental Europe, Netherlands, Germany, for instance, the rate would be probably about 100 million euro, between 85 to 100 million euro, roughly, to build 400 homes on 60 acres. But that would be the full build, all the infrastructure, everything out the door. And with that, we've estimated somewhere between a 15 to 18+% IRR on the real estate side. So it's viable.
That's pretty good. So
it's not your 25, 35% rate of return. And it's not a 2-year exit. It's more 3 to 5 year exit. But it is an impact investment, and it allows those funds to invest in good conscience, and it checks off all of the boxes now that the EU is demanding that fund managers follow.
That's super cool. We can come back to the discussion in a short minute. We're gonna introduce our sponsor for today's episode. It's a networking event open for everybody. So if you want to join us here on stage, feel free to put in the chat, just like James did earlier, and now he's here. getting to share value with us. We get to learn from him, and it's beautiful. So, capitalraisersclub.com to for more, please. And today's event is sponsored by gobnetwork.com, where you can connect with active and passive investors. Highly recommend going to gobnetwork.com and check that out, because yeah, it's an awesome community of active and passive investors. They're also the sponsor today. So if you'd like to be a sponsor of Capital Raisers Club, feel free to reach out. The best way is to sign up from our email newsletter on capitalraisersclub.com and sending us a message in one of the newsletters that we send out. We reply to all our emails. Yeah, we have here in the chat. With that said, we can go back to the conversation. Holy cow, I'm mind blown already. This is so cool. Whenever you have, open conversations, and I didn't even know about regen villages before you just shared. Having been here in Mexico for a little bit, I've noticed one of the hosts that we stayed with. He's also an investor. He is right now doing a regen village, but it's him alone with his family and his friends. They're doing the same thing, but they're doing this with they have a fish farm, and they have snails, chicken, other animals, and all of this is it feeds on itself, and it's also healthy. No outside material for any of it, and also it's going to be a senior living place. So when he was sharing with that's the first thing that popped into my mind when he said regen villages, because we like those kind of, or for me at least, I really like those places that are thinking about what is the aftermath of having built this. So it's
yeah. I mean, before COVID, we were kind of considered sort of a boutique concept, and had some questions from investors about being maybe more like commune, hippie, or whatever kind of thought process typical conservative investors might have. But because of COVID now, and the exodus from urban areas, and more particularly now because of the interruptions to supply chains, right? So people starting to see store shelves going bare. There is an epiphany happening all around us. People are beginning to wake up to the fact that they need to feel safe, that they're going to have what they need for themselves and their families. And that's a visceral response that is definitely a market that is now addressable. It's a palpable market that we're focused on. So yeah, and in terms of health, one of the things that we proved, because my current affiliation at Stanford, by the way, I moved through the School of Mechanical Engineering on all the research, the nuts and bolts for regen villages. Now I'm in the School of Medicine in what's called the Stanford Flourishing Project. And we're really focused on how you live and where you live for long-term healthy outcomes. So our research parallels blue zones, where people are living to 110, plus years old, never seeing doctor, never taking pharmaceuticals. So our point really to local government is that every time you build a neighborhood like ours, you actually reduce burdens on government. You reduce burdens on healthcare systems, on insurance companies, on banks, on finance. You broker peaceful, happy places. So there's all kinds of burden reductions when you are considering at the neighborhood scale these kinds of regenerative, resilient flows.
Would this also qualify for opportunity zones and those kind of tax incentives that a lot of investors and funds are looking for right now?
Yeah, those are some of the projects we're looking at right now in Kentucky and Illinois, even here in California. There are opportunity zones where we can literally just rejuvenate a place through ecosystem restoration while also housing people. It's a really unique model, and something that's urgent and needs to happen all around the world. And so if you haven't been to an eco village or heard about eco villages before, something really interesting to go take a look at, because they are high value in what they offer to its residents. And I'll give you an example here in Davis, California. There's a place called Village Homes, and it was realized about 50 years ago. And it's a bike path pretty much from UC Davis. But what they did was they were very conscious in keeping car traffic out of the community and planting these very robust kind of food forests. So orchards and vineyards and berries and berms and guilds, all different kinds of edible stuff, and having a community center and potluck meals and etc. And there's like a 15-year waiting list to get into this community, because a few years after they built it, all the trees, everything started to really mature and fruit, and all of a sudden, this connection to nature really happened. And so the people who live there are happier, they're healthier, and it doesn't take a lot. There's another community outside of Atlanta called Serenbe. It's another great example of a kind of farm to table neighborhood. So now we're calling them they're being called agrihoods, and there's different flavors and scales of them around the U.S. So it's we think a better way of developing, if you're considering to develop a neighborhood scale subdivision.
Could you share some of those villages in the back channel here, and I can share it with our audience, because
Sure.
I'm excited about it.
I just have to
Sure.
get links for you. So yeah.
Hey, while we are waiting for that, Chris, how are you doing? And what we haven't talked now since I think December, last time on Clubhouse. How's it been, real estate wise? Are you?
So it's been pretty good. We just took down 180 unit and the value add strategy. So we closed on December 28th. So now we're we got to clean it up. We have literally contractors everywhere, and it's been pretty great. So, but now's the hard work begins, right? So we got to do hearts and minds, and convince the residents that we're not a slumlord, we're the anti-slumlord, and we really got to show them that we love and care for them, because that's the way we do business. And not only is it rewarding to them, but it allows them. We're going to give them a brand new community, and then they're going to have and our investors will make a solid return. So it's kind of a win-win, but it takes time. It's not fast. It's not easy, and there's a lot of deferred maintenance. So we have contractors going every which way all over the property.
Yeah. Well, congratulations on closing on that. That's great. Which market?
Houston. So
awesome. Congrats.
Yeah. So.
We have a question here from Vernon on LinkedIn Live. Vernon is asking, how much scale do you require to make a self-sufficient village viable?
From a financial perspective, we've run the numbers, and depending upon the cost of the land, of course, and the location, because that's also important in terms of demographics and then cost for build, cost per square foot, cost per square meter. But roughly speaking, it's about 350 homes minimum on 20 acres to make it self-reliant and economically viable. When you start to reduce those numbers of units, you start to having to increase the cost per unit because of the regenerative infrastructure costs, which is not impossible. You can do those things, but then you start to limit the amount of social affordable housing you can provide, which then starts to tip maybe things not so much in your favor with the local authorities, depending again upon the location.
Hey guys, I got to run. Thanks so much. It was a really great learning experience.
Thanks, Chris. Pleasure to meet you.
I can't wait to see your model. I'll sign up and we'll be in touch.
Perfect. Take care.
I'm going to share her contact information here in the chat so everybody can.
Thank you. Connect. Have a nice evening.
Thank you, Chris, for making time for this. Appreciate you.
Peace.
I shared a couple of links also in the chat here for Village Homes and Serenbe in Atlanta, and then also kind of the grandfather of eco villages, which is Feenhorn in northern Scotland. It's kind of an example of a community that's really a pretty rural location, but that has enjoyed a constantly sold out, rented out, purchased community. So
That's great. We can all connect with Chris if you want. Here, Chris to sell, Chris at cloudcapitalllc.com, or the phone number. I'm not saying the phone number, but if you see the screen, feel free to reach out and text him and meet with him. He's definitely a go-giver. He does seek only for win-win situations, and yeah, definitely connect with Chris. Hey, we have Vernon in the live audience saying that thank you, James, for replying to that answer about sufficient villages. That's super cool. Hey, if there's more people in the audience right now, we don't see much here before you said anything in the comments. So we don't know if you're liking this. We don't know if you're commenting, or we only know that you're there active when you're commenting. So feel free to post.
But I don't mean to hog the stage either. I just wanted to come on and say hi. So
yeah, it's an honor having you here because we get to learn from you. Others get to connect with you. For that very reason, we started Capital Races Club for making that more accessible or more. So yeah, but that's a story for another day. Definitely join the newsletter on capitalracesclub.com to learn more about our backstory. Also join the community. But yeah, like I said earlier, when you comment, you get the opportunity to connect with us all. Also, putting yourself out there, it may feel a little bit daunting in the beginning, but the more you do it, the easier it gets. And not just that, more people will see you. And when they know that, hey, this is where you're at, this is what you're looking for, just like James now, he just shared with us what he's looking for and what he's doing. It's much easier now for people to reach out and get to know James better and region villages. So definitely put in the comments. We have Jose in the comments. Can sufficient village concept be replicated in countries like Haiti?
Yeah, I mean, Haiti is actually one of the perfect examples of what ought to happen in terms of development because the landscape has been so denuded there. It's not that you don't have water, because there's water that comes in both in precipitation and humidity. So that's easy enough to achieve, which is a big issue in other parts of the world that you can achieve. But you have to be able to plan a certain way in order to facilitate the regrowth and the restoration. Once you get to that point, then the facilities become quite flourishing. I'll give you an example. There's an eco-village community in southeast India, about 100 kilometers south of Chennai. It's called Oroville, and I can put the link in the chat as well. And Oroville is another 50, 60 years ago, a bunch of well-intended hippies, I guess you'd say, went to India to create a spiritual, intentional community. And they went to this really arid location in southeast India. And slowly but surely over the last decades, they have been planting indigenous flora, fauna, all kinds of trees and bushes and all kinds of water capture and cisterning. And what they have done is essentially completely restored almost 2,500 circular hectare of land, which is a lot of land. And in doing that, they've created their own new microclimate. So the rain comes there, the wildlife, the birds come, they bring seeds and they pollinate, and they create more heirloom and pioneer growth. And right now that community has 3,000 full-time residents. And pre-COVID, they were getting about 500,000 visitors a year, and able to hydrate those visitors and community and feed the people there. And so the point is, I like to say this often, if you take a half a step towards Mother Earth, she'll literally throw her arms around us, right? So it's what we have to do. We have to go back and look at how these ecosystems really work and flourish, and understand that we're not separate from it. We are part of that symbiosis. And once we get that understanding, that we contribute to those things, then we can see that these communities can get built. And once they take hold, then they become self-reliant, and they actually become overproducers of artisanal ingredients. Those are all asset classes, right? So they're overproducing food, they're overproducing clean water, overproducing renewable energy. Waste to resource management at the neighborhood scale is an asset class. You've got phosphorus, nitrogen, elements for fertilizer. You have, the ability to create fuel and energy from that waste. At a district scale, human waste is a huge pathogen that requires tremendous amounts of energy to mitigate, and it doesn't do a good job of it. So we need to rethink sewer systems. We need to rethink power systems to microgrids. We need to rethink all of that. And Haiti is an example of this. I visited Haiti about 8 years ago, and I saw pretty clearly what's possible there. Of course, you have to overcome the greed and the graft and the crime and all that to get to a public goodwill, but I think it's completely doable. And other parts of emerging economies around the world, that's our goal, really. We can see this get built cost effectively. So let's say what costs 100 million euro in North Europe or continental Europe to build 400 homes. We think we could probably do that for 10 or 15% of that cost in an emerging economy.
That's great. Jose, do you feel that was a great, the answer that you were seeking for? Feel free to put in more comments, questions, and insights. I linked in here the links that we were talking about earlier with the villages that you can go visit right now, the villages that are eco-friendly. Serenbe.com. I haven't checked these out myself, by the way. I didn't do due diligence. I want to let you know that, because when you check out something like this, feel free to do your own due diligence. And we have findhorn.org. We also have villagehomedavies.org. That was the one in Atlanta, right?
Village Homes is in Davis, California. It's a very well-established neighborhood already. So is Serenbe. It's all a very well-established neighborhood already. So yeah, I mean, it's what I'm referring to are places that exist right now that are high value, that people with means are buying and renting and moving into because it's healthy, better for them, for themselves, for their kids, for their elders, and they're within reasonable either biking or commute distance to vibrant places.
Super cool. We have Joe saying phenomenal answer. Thank you. He's very happy. Feel free to keep those comments coming in. The more you participate, the more fun for everybody who is here live, and also for the people who are watching this on replay. If you'd like us to bring up your questions, please put them in as you have clicked on attend the event. You can already put the comments in the chat before the event starts. I'd like to let you know about that. And next event is on Thursday, 1 p.m. Central, 11 a.m. Pacific time, and 2 p.m. Eastern time. So we're gonna interview Parker Smith, Caltier Realty. Definitely want to stick on for that, or stay connected for that one, because you're gonna get to learn how to passively invest, the easiest route to passively investing starting that day. So definitely stick around for that. Hey, is there any questions that you would like to ask James for the audience or anybody else? That would be interesting. We sometimes do that on Capital Raisers Club. We ask back to the audience, see what they have to say.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just curious if there are either land owners or developers, and especially investors who are interested in this space for essentially what's considered to be impact investing, ESG, SDG, green transition kinds of goals. That would be a question.
Yeah, definitely reach out, and we have your contact information here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna bring
I'll
it up
I'll
again.
give you also this because I think I may have given you my Stanford email. I'll give you this as well.
You gave the region villages, and yeah, the email. I keep it private. I don't want to share it. I don't know. You want us to share that? So,
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's fairly public information at this point. I'm a pretty public guy.
awesome.
Yeah. So we're doing we're on a mission here, if you will, which is to show that we can actually create a good rate of return for investors for land development, while also doing the right thing for the planet and for human and planetary flourishing, and that those actually happen to be amenities. So if you look at the Regen Villages community, you imagine us kind of being like a golf course or a ski area, right? So you have 1/3 of, let's say, a golf course is that residential build, and 2/3 is that open space is your golf course. That's your big amenity, right? With a ski area, something similar. You've got your lodge and your on-ski, off-ski housing infrastructure, and then 2/3 of that land grant are your slopes. Okay, what we do is we replace the slopes and the golf course with what you need to survive: clean water, clean food, clean energy, waste and resource management, and those are amenities that are managed by the operating company. So you don't have to be a farmer, you don't have to be an engineer to live and be in the community. You just buy a home, rent a home, pay your monthly association fee, and from that we employ, with living wages, local organic farmers and community administrators to run things. So you just essentially living in a beautiful, flourishing neighborhood, and if competing next to the traditional subdivision, they can't even hold a candle to what we're doing. I mean,
That's interesting. We have
9
Vernon.
times out of 10, people will buy into our community versus the one across the street.
Thank you for sharing. We have Vernon Beckford sharing that my company arranges debt financing. I would love to be connected with James. So James, definitely connect with Vernon. How do we connect with you, Vernon? You can put your contact information in the chat. That way we can connect with you. There could be other people watching this replay and they want to connect with you, Vernon. So same thing goes for you. Joe's, definitely share how we can connect with you. Same for you, Cecilia. You're right there. See you in the comments. Cecilia is my wife. She's the behind the scenes doing all of the branding and managing marketing for Capital Races Club. Very social impact minded and would love to help. Vernon on LinkedIn Live. Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, Vernon. In fact, I think I just got Vernon on LinkedIn, so I'm just going to go ahead and accept him. Hi, Vernon. Appreciate
Awesome.
your kind input and words.
Yeah, if there's other people in the audience right now watching this live, feel free to put out there any questions that you have, or also what you're looking to do. So the more you put yourself out there, the easier it is for us to find you, the easier it is for other people to find you too. And let's see what happens from there. So
yeah, unfortunately, I think I have to get ready for my next call, which is noon Pacific time. But I just want to thank you. Thanks for this opportunity. Again, I didn't mean to, to just sort of jump on the stage and sort of elbow my way in here. But
this is awesome because we get to learn more about what you do. So pleasure having you here. Thank you so much.
Look forward to the next steps and how we can take everybody along our path as we move forward. And currently, we're closing the Series A round and into our holding company. So again, any investors interested can reach out and we'll talk more.
Awesome. And you can connect with James. Here's his email again, james@regionvillages.com. And you can also go to regionvillages.com to connect with James early.
Perfect.
And, talk to you soon, James.
Thanks, Samson. See you. Cheers.
See you. Cheers. We have in the comments, 1 second, please. So this is how you can connect with Vernon. That link is clickable on LinkedIn. So if you're on LinkedIn Live right now, you can click and connect with Vernon. And Joe says, connect with me via LinkedIn. Thanks. So when you search for, just say Joe's Petit Frere. He's the only one with that name. I checked. That's how we connect. And you can email Vernon at dlsloans.com. And we have Cecilia sharing. Thank you, James, for sharing. This was mind blowing. I love what you're working with, and it really goes along with her values too, with helping the environment to the best of our abilities. Because, yeah, a little bit of background. I would like to share this background because I don't think most people in other continents know about how it is in Scandinavia. We buy waste. So Finland, Sweden. Okay, you have to fact check me on this one, but I know that the Scandinavian countries are buying European sewage, not sewage, but garbage. And we do that because, for instance, in Finland, the town I'm from, there's a stadium, and in this stadium, I think it's 80% or even more, and all of that energy, like 80% of the energy it consumes is coming straight from the recycling. I don't know what it's called. We call it Stormossa in Swedish. Anyways, that place, that company, they do waste managed disposal, and it's just different way of looking at waste in Scandinavia compared to most of the world, where we don't see it as waste. We just see, that's gonna fill our house with a lot of energy or fill our bio trucks and whatnot, bus trucks. Anyways, with that said, I'm really looking forward to what's happening next. And if you'd like to connect with other capital raisers or investors, passive and active, also people who are operating in the real estate space, definitely join our community where you can connect with other active and passive investors on capitalraisersclub.com. We just launched the community platform where you can network and connect with other investors. That's capitalraisersclub.com. And when you check out the newsletter, you'll get your invitation to our community portal, and that's where you can connect and chat. And yeah, this was super interesting. Tuesdays is networking day. We connect here on LinkedIn Live, here on YouTube Live, here on Twitter Live, wherever you're watching this from. We're going to be on that platform live, streaming on Tuesdays at 1 p.m. Central Time, on Thursdays at 1 p.m. Central Time. You can convert that to your own time zone. And then definitely stay tuned for the episode with Parker Smith on Thursday, this upcoming Thursday. Haven't sent out any invitations yet, but it is here, right here on LinkedIn. If you're looking at this from LinkedIn, you can connect and look at the post that we just launched with Parker Smith's interview. He runs he's a fund manager, a lawyer, immigration attorney. So there are some super cool value bombs that are going to be dropped that most may not know about passively investing in real estate through funds, and how to make it easier for passive investors to just put their money to work in the real estate space. So stay tuned for that one. Click attend. We'll send you the replay afterwards when you click attend. And with that said, 1 second, please. We have Alicia Milton in the live audience on LinkedIn. Thank you so much for being here, Alicia, by the way. Also you, Vernon, and Joseph, and Cecilia. So Alicia Milton is sharing, looking forward to the replay. Always fantastic information, Samson. Thank you. I'm just kidding. But yeah, I really appreciate you, Alicia. Thank you so much for saying that. And with that said, last shout out for our sponsor. If you'd like to sponsor our show, capitalraisersclub.com. If you'd like to sponsor us, join our email list, newsletter, get to know us a little bit better, and let's work out a deal when you reply to our emails. That's the way I want to be sponsored, or that's the way we want to be sponsored. We want to build a relationship with our sponsors. And the best relationship sponsor that we have is gobnetwork.com. It's a fantastic community of active and passive investors that you can connect with other operators in the real estate space. So definitely go to gobnetwork.com and yeah, definitely network and connect, because your network is your net worth, as we all already know. And yeah, GOB really proves that. Thank you so much for sponsoring this show, GOB and GOB Network. And that's it for today. It's a little bit shorter. Definitely put in the chat already, even though this is live right now. You can put in the chat who you are, what you're looking for, who you can help, and you know what you're like, those kind of questions that you want people to reach out for you, to you for, because a lot of people are watching this replay and they will see your comment later on. So definitely put it in the chat. I will put it here. It will show on the video. And yeah, see you all next Thursday. This Thursday the 27th. Awesome. We have Cecilia live on LinkedIn sharing that. Thank you for an awesome event. Thank you, Cecilia Homez, for being here and also for being so awesome. We're gonna let this go to the banner, and then anybody who puts in the chat, we will bring that up. People can see and connect with you. So put your connection information and what you're about in the comments, so we can showcase that for all the people who are watching the replay. Cecilia Homez is saying, I help others with branding and marketing. I also offer a freedom to travel program together with Samson. Oh, she's right there. You can't see her, but yeah, I appreciate you, Cecilia, and definitely connect with Cecilia for marketing and branding. And that traveling program, we've been on the road for over 3 years now. And I mean, on the road sounds weird because we live everywhere we go. Right now we're in Mexico. Anyways, connect with Cecilia Homez on LinkedIn. How can we connect with you?
Through my LinkedIn profile.
Through her LinkedIn profile.
Or Instagram, Norma Cecilia.
I'm just gonna put it here because
I can do it.
All right. Definitely connect with Cecilia. She's awesome. I'm biased though. I love her, so it's different. Okay, talk to you soon. See ya. Putting the banding. Yeah, I put it right there.
No, I will.